Hey, hey. All right. So, Sagittarians, let's go ahead and jump on into a storytelling here for Sag. Actually, hang on. Let me course correct this for just a second here. Sag, we're going to get into a retrograde message for you guys. And for that retrograde, here's we're going to focus on love for this, but I would just preface this by saying, um, I look at retrograde as well as it is, which is Mercury moves faster on its orbit than we do. So it laps us. And with that in mind, it means, time has passed. And when time passes, it gives us a chance to get older and wiser, right? Retrograde for Mercury comes in like 3.5, almost 4 times per year. And so with that in mind, we get like some months under our belt. And so I want to kind of look at what is coming back in for retrograde, but also kind of from that perspective of like, how is it different now? So let's take a look. It's not necessarily just about who's coming back, although the very first card says who's coming back, an 8 of Cups in the reverse and a 4 of Cups upright. Somebody with a bunch of regrets. This is pretty straightforward. This is like full on. I'm coming back because I have been feeling like this was a huge missed opportunity. I have been feeling really sad. This feels like it was supposed to be part of my tree of life, and I maybe blew it. This could be a water sign who feels that way about Sag. We have an 8 of Wands sideways. This kind of feels like the way they either reach out could be tentative. It does look like a message. The message either could be incomplete. It could be like everybody sent like a text or an email before they were done writing and it like fires off and you're like, oh crap. That was like it ended in mid-sentence and that wasn't even done. It could be like a halfways finished thought. It could be that they're going to send another follow-up. It could come in a multitude, especially if texting can get all out of sequence sometimes, if somebody's in or out of range. It could be like a whole bunch of shorter messages, and it could be like, what the hell? So as with anything, and I think this is always a good rule of thumb, before we fire off text messages or emails, read it. But then sometimes, this is my personal rule. I always have a 3-day rule. I always have to wait 3 days because by then I can forget I was the author of whatever that was. And I can read it like I'm a stranger, and then I can see what the tone really sounds like. So if there's a chance to wait before responding, not all the time can we delay. Sometimes things require a faster response. But now I would say on the flip side, the other half of that is true as well. At least wait a couple hours and reread what somebody writes, especially if this is going to come in out of left field. There is an energy of, and especially if it could be a collection of messages, not all of which come in an orderly fashion. There is something about we may only get half of the context, and that can be a big problem. Actually, that just happened between my brother and I. We were texting and I was supposed to bring over his salad dressing. He likes a certain salad dressing that I make. And I didn't get the salad dressing memo. And like 3 days later, he's like, yeah, well, you don't even make me salad dressing anymore. And I was like, what are you talking about? You didn't ask for salad dressing. And we compared phones and he had sent the message, but I never got it. It didn't get to my phone. And so he was just like passive aggressively deciding I had said I wouldn't make him salad dressing because I didn't reply. And I'm like, dude, I can get it. You notice it doesn't say red. But those things happen. Now, if it happens in this case, somebody trying to return for the purpose of romance, holy smokes, that's a lot more important than your brother's stupid dressing, right? So bear that in mind. This could come in funky. Remember, they always say Mercury retrograde has lots of communication issues. Mercury is the planet of communication and, kind of like the mind. We have a 7 of Coins. This again says take time. Let a thought take root. Figure out what is the meat of what needs to be said, or even if a response has to be big, it might be like, let me respond by saying, I need to gather my thoughts. I'll get back to you in a couple days. There's a bunch I want to respond with. And then it's like, itemize it out, I know a lot of people think like bullet pointing stuff is somehow rude. And I don't know, my brain thinks like that, in kind of like an orderly fashion where it's like, instead of run on sentences, put it in separate segments so that you can see the thought pattern, this and this and this. They may still be strong together, but sometimes it's easier to, collect our thoughts and then reorganize them into the priority of what's most important. So there could just be a really necessary caution in regards to communicating, especially to somebody that is, saying that they have a lot of regrets, but the communication could come in strangely or half baked. We have the Hanged Man in the reverse. Sparkle 11, great to see you, babe. I'm so honored you're here. Okay, this comes across, excuse me, it's Piscean energy, but this actually does say when our character has had enough time to respond, then by all means, speak from the heart. Speak about the things that you'd like to see go different. Speak about the things that need to be changed. It's weird because this is kind of, I will say this, Sag, this is the first zodiac where it's like a continual like flow. In every other storyline, I think it was always broken between like one character to the other. Instead, what we see is somebody reaching out to Sag, and then we're jumping right into how is Sag going to respond. And that's only because of this sideways card that gives us the communication going back and forth. And it says it's going to take time to unravel this. And yet, a conversation can be continuing while saying, I need time to respond. It says kind of take time, but also respond immediately with, I have something to say. And then, let me sort it out. You notice that the rose, which is the representation of the heart, but it's in place of her head. I kind of love this because, reacting is not necessarily the greatest thing to do, but asking our heart, how do you feel? What is it that you want to say? I'm not going to let my brain or my lips say stuff. I'm going to let my heart say stuff. 10 of Pentacles. There's a lot of memories that these two share, and probably a lot of really good memories. If this almost feels like this could be two people who were married or two people who had a very strong bond. They lived together, or they wanted to be married. They wanted to have a family together. This feels like a really important connection with a lot of past memories. It doesn't feel like, oh, I dated them 3 times and we stopped talking and now they're like, hey, man, I wish I had asked you on a 4th date. That's not what this story feels like. This story feels like, if my heart is going to be honest and be able to speak, it would be like, I saw so much potential. There were some really beautiful times together. I have such great memories of the good parts, and that could be super reassuring. Even if it's just like, let me put it this way. If this is Saggy's potential response, because somebody first reaches out to them with, I have all these regrets, and then there's some missing gaps in information to kind of encourage somebody to keep talking instead of saying, what are your regrets? Or saying like, well, you should have some. This is Sag instead like encouraging dialogue, perhaps by speaking from their heart and saying, we had so many good things. I remember so many nice things, I think about the nice stuff a lot. I mean, if that's true, then why not say it? You know what an encouraging thing that would probably be? That would, maybe put a conversation at ease to then be more vulnerable, right? Now, this is, again, only if Sag wants to, engage, and they may not want to, in which case, delete, no reason to respond. We have the World card, though. If the real effort here is to, even from the beginning, change the way they do things. If communication wasn't great in the past, this could be Sag facilitating like, I want more open communication, so I'm going to begin by opening up. I still don't know exactly what their intentions are. I don't know what parts they regret. I don't know all that, but I promised myself if I ever had a do-over with somebody again, I would make sure that I did things different than I did in the past to maybe see if I could get a different result. So I think it's normal to be guarded, but boy, we see the Sag saying, I'm not going to operate that way. I'm going to be thoughtful. I am also going to speak from my heart, and I'm going to speak about things that I liked, the positives, and I'm going to encourage there to be a change in the dynamics. Now, if with all that, they still are doing the same old, then that could pretty quickly tell Sag, okay, nothing's changed. Now I can move on. But this hints that we could have a do-over, and a really heartfelt do-over. I don't know if Sag has like a strong like ancestor, or maybe their nana gave them good advice, or someone who's quite a bit older, who's lived more life, who says, some of the things in life that we maybe regret the most are the times that we didn't speak from our heart, but we spoke instead, popped off and said something too quickly, and we never got a chance to say the nicer things that are carried in our hearts or our memories. Sometimes that's the stuff that we regret. And it just kind of feels like Sag is hell-bent that they won't have regrets, however this thing's going to shake out. That's pretty awesome. Let's go back to them. Steve and Alchemy of a Bluebird. I love your name. Thank you so much. Thank you, babe. Let's go back over to them and ask, what have we got for them? The World also. Okay. Whew. For a kind of a half-baked tentative message that they sent out, they too are hoping for something different. That could bode very, very well. Boy, I'll tell you, not everybody has gotten such a good storyline. Okay, we have had some bumpy stories for some of the zodiacs. By the way, Aquarius, I already did yours. I'll release it as soon as we're done here, but I had to edit out Aries bark. We have an 8 of Swords sideways, and we have the 5 of Cups. They are determined that they're going to go ahead and say, I miss your smell. I miss the sound of your heartbeat. I miss all those things. They are going to be pretty vulnerable about the regrets. And yes, admittedly, first it's like, I miss you. I regret what I don't have, which is your energy. It doesn't say I regret how I treated you. It says, first and foremost, I regret how I feel, which is I miss you. Okay, so they are definitely speaking and being very vulnerable that basically they need. Well, that could actually feel really good to hear that from somebody, They need Sag in their life. With the 8 of Swords sideways, they may also be saying, and it's so for some reason I have a hard time finding words. I've had a hard time finding words. I wish I had just said this a lot sooner. I mean, it does start out really, really great, but maybe we should jump into kind of the meat and potatoes of this, because let's turn to the universe and say, universe, what is the thing that would most need to change if this were to be able to be successful? Because two people can have great memories and they want each other and still they could suck together. But we got the World card for both of them. So maybe we're centering on what needs to change. Knight of Coins, Queen of Swords, Page of Coins. A lot about communication, a lot about taking time, moving slowly, moving thoughtfully, communicating, respecting boundaries. Really, I think that talking is a really big thing for these two. And there is something like one person's definitely moving a lot slower than the other, okay? Because the Queen of Swords is, quicker on her feet. She knows what she thinks. She knows what she wants. I'm kind of more inclined to say that this is probably Saggy's energy, and they might be the person who moves slower. And they could move slower in thoughts, or they move slower in general in life, or perhaps their life isn't quite as far along as Saggy's. But if those are the things to, to consider, those are the things that need to, be honored or looked at, or just simply recognized. Like maybe we do, especially in communication, maybe one of us tends to communicate faster, has a quicker mind, can get to the heart of the matter and get to the truth way, way faster, and the other person digests information and slowly chews on it and then slowly takes action. Like, what if their love languages are different? What if one of them is really good at saying what they think and what they feel, and the other one slowly over time shows how they feel? That could be the other thing. Like, we're not dealing with the same energy. This is swift, this is slow. I mean, the polar opposite cards. That could still mean that these two could be wonderful together, but they will have to look at their differences as strengths and not as frustrating weaknesses or, bizarre, like, how come you're doing this to me? Why won't you, respond the way I would expect somebody to, because this is the way I conduct myself. I think these two, they certainly seem like they are being so understanding and so gentle with each other. I could see this working. really, really well because the things that need to change, it's not like we got the devil card. It's not like we have, vicious seven of swords. It's not like, well, one of them needs to quit lying their pants off, like we don't have cheating. We don't have intending to hurt each other. We just simply have two people that operate a little bit different. Well, okay, a lot different as you could get as far as like communication styles. But maybe if they find like their safe word when it's like, I don't know how to respond to this. I need to think about this further. And it's like, okay, I'm going to call turtle or whatever. I'm just seeing this. It's like, okay, now I need time to digest. I can't answer right now. It's not because I don't want to, it's because my brain works different. And it's like, oh, okay, they called turtle. That's our code word for when they heard me, but they're digesting. That's all right. Like it could be something like that for these two. Or when it's like, look, I don't understand what you're doing. She's going to call like butterfly. I'm confused right now and it's getting me frustrated and I need some peace or I need to change the topic because this is boggling me or I need a response. I need you to reassure me that you're not ignoring me because I don't get what you're doing. So, butterfly, you got to change your behavior for me so that you reassure me. Put your hands on my shoulders, give me a hug. If these two could come up with something so that and it might need to be something other than words. Like I said, maybe it's like, okay, I need a hug when I'm not getting what you're trying to say. You need to reassure me that you're not blowing me off. Show me, because you're more action oriented than show me something. That could work really well for these two. I mean, again, fictional story about fictional characters. Who am I to say what would work? But they both have such a sincere desire and they have so many good energies between the two of them. I'm so glad that they're not seeming like they're going to let this go. Could this work? Steve, that's adorable. We have the moon. The universe is like, I don't know. It's up to them. But we do see the wolf and the dog enjoying the moon. These two could be great. They could like so many of the same things. They could enjoy being side by side. But when they talk, it goes to hell in a handbasket. But they love being together. They like the same things. Let's go stargaze. Oh my God. Did you see that beautiful, shooting star? I sure did. They could have so much that they vibe on. And then there's still like this great mystery. But if they looked at it like, you're the mystery that I get to solve, and you care to solve me because I'm your mystery too. And there's so many other things that we both enjoy. As long as we have reassurance that we both care to try to understand each other and we're not going to get pissed off and become a vault and refuse to open up, then this could work really well. But the universe says it's up to them. Do they want to figure out the mystery of who one another is while still enjoying all of these wonderful experiences that they could share side by side, even though they're very different? This could work. What a great retrograde message. That's probably one of the nicest ones we've had. I would say hands down, that's one of the most successful messages we've had too. Great to see you guys. Again, thank you so much. Alchemy of a Bluebird. Bradley, nice to see you. Hufflepuff at heart, awesome to see you. Lots of love to you. Steve, thanks for hanging. Sparkle 11, I so appreciate you guys being here. All right, you guys, I'll see you again in the next one. I will release Aquarius just as soon as possible. I think we're going to Aries next. TLV, me too. It's so nice to see you tonight, babe. Thanks for popping in. Bye.